Here yet. Kiana Sage here from Being in Sync 366 video series. For those of you enjoying the replay, thank you for being here. We usually wait about 5 minutes for people to join live, and that's because things have changed so much with the YouTube algorithms that we just want to make sure that the people that want to join in have time to get joined. And sometimes the notifications go out, and sometimes it looks like they were getting, they weren't. So let's see. Hello. Hey, Jerry. Oh, is that the real Jerry? Is that you? Or is this an imposter? Because now you're making it easy for me to get the name straight. Is that you? Good to see you, Jerry. Hi, Oliver. Thanks for being here, helping out. Okay, well, so yesterday's session, the live, really struck me. And although I really want to talk about confidence, one of the things that really stood out, change is good. Yes, it is good. I like it. Jerry, I like it. So one of the things that stood out to me from yesterday's session was something that Matt said, and it just struck me. So although, you know, my tendency is to want to talk about confidence. Hey, Peter, I think confidence, I address confidence very unconventionally. And it, you know, I really feel like I talk about confidence in indirect ways in almost all of the videos. Because the more integrated, the more coherent we are, the more congruent we are, the more confident we become, right? So because, you know, confidence really comes from knowing who you are and really not feeling the inner conflict from those belief systems that we often get hooked into. Some of them are from our families, some of them are from society, some are from organizations. Wherever the belief systems come from, it doesn't really matter. If it's not in alignment with the truth of who you are, that will be an issue. And we are multidimensional beings. You know, everything here we're talking about, hey, Jim, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being and alignment, that's our multidimensional aspects. But a lot of people have not fully accepted that we are multidimensional beings, and that really is a part of knowing who you are. So I try not to go too far out there on these channels, on these lives, because, you know, what's most important is how we're practicing in our conscious awareness every single day. And, you know, I try not to be too in your face about things because I don't want people to be turned off about topics such as spirituality, because it's really not about right and wrong. It's more about accepting who we truly are, and that we're all in this together. It is what I believe, and that is the natural laws aligned with God, sovereignty, freedom, and in alignment with, you know, unity, and you being unified. So, okay, so I'm gonna wait about, my phone has changed, so now it's flipped. So just wait about 5 minutes where we get into the topic about moving on. So this topic was inspired from yesterday's chats, and somebody said they have a lot of trauma in their past, but they just move on. And that's what they were taught, that's what they do. And then they were guarded with what they shared with their relationships, because their traumas were kind of like, they moved on from them, if you will. But there's a problem with just moving on, and I'm going to talk about what those problems are with moving on, because it's a pattern. And I don't think it's a pattern that definitely supports coming into an alignment congruently. And I know a lot of people think it is good to just move on and get on with things. And I'm going to give you 5 aspects of why that's problematic. The number one is that often is in a denial of the truth of who you are, the truth of your learning. And anytime we're denying the truth of a situation and an experience because it's painful and we just moving on, keeps us from integrating. So moving on is really prohibitive to integrating our learning when we have yet, number 2, processed our emotions. Because oftentimes when people just want to move on and they want to get through something, they haven't fully processed the emotions that come from the situation or relationship in which they're moving on from. So the denial of truth and lack of processing the emotions means that you've moved on incomplete. So what we absolutely know, what I absolutely know, and I'm sharing with you, is that everything in the physical begins in the non-physical. So when we do not process our emotions from the past, and we know we have a spiritual life and the spiritual cycles, they continue whether we're consciously aware of it or not. And if we have not learned those lessons, then we learn them later. And they usually get learned through our body and illness or disease or some type, hi doc, some type of very uncomfortable situation. So the lessons need to get learned in the physical, but they're only going to be challenging or problematic if we are moving on and not processing them. So we want to, number 1, we don't want to be in denial of the truth. And number 2, we want to be processing our emotions. Why don't people process their emotions? Most of the time it's because we don't know how. Or the way that we have learned has been not allowing us to integrate. So we have to learn new ways. How do we learn new ways? Not from reading a book. We don't learn, most people do not learn how to process emotions from reading a ridiculous amount of books on trauma and therapy. No, most people will learn how to process their emotions when they are having an experience of focusing on the integration of emotions. Okay. Number 3 is when we move on and we're just moving on and we haven't completed our lessons, we haven't learned, we just want to move through it and get on to the next thing, it interferes with all of our relationships. So let's just say we have a situation, a breakup or a trauma or a wound, or maybe we've seen some horrific situations take place. So I will speak for myself. My first memory is at 15 months from a conflict. So when that situation happens when we're young children, we don't know how to process. And for me, I didn't really understand my gifts as a telepath until I went back to heal that situation. And I understood more of what I was picking up on during that conflict. It interferes with our relationships. And you say, okay, so what? It interferes with my personal relationship with myself. Okay, but it's not limited to that. It's also going to interfere with every relationship. So if you think about what do we have relationships with, we have relationships with everything. We have relationships with money. We have relationships at work. We have relationships with coworkers. We have intimate relationships. We might have marriages. We might have divorces. We have all different kinds of relationships, and our just moving on can interfere with those relationships. Why? Because if the lesson is not learned, it will be repeated. Okay? So number 4 is when we're just moving on, it's more of a rejection and or a denial, or what was the word I put in an abdication of responsibility, and therefore there's no real acceptance of the situation. And so we don't want to move on without accepting. And a lot of times people say, well, if I accept this, does that mean I go into agreement with it? Well, it's in your experience. So you're already in agreement with it. So if it's in your experience and you accept it, it just means that you're not holding on to the aspects that bother you. That's what acceptance is. It's non-attachment, essentially. Okay? And number 4 is, we all already know this. I talked about it a little bit, but we will repeat what we have not learned. So why? Because our systems are programmed to repeat. And unfortunately, right now, there is a massive repeating program going on in the collective for the dark night of the soul. And, that's not an organic program, but it is a program. So our systems, our bodies, our energy field is programmable. And if we're not programming it consciously, something else is. And that something else is either inorganic and or it's conditioning and programming from your experiences. So you definitely want to rewire and reprogram your approach to moving on. It's maybe the goal isn't to move on, but it's like, did I learn everything so I can move through, progress? We can be better for what we've been through, because moving on doesn't mean you're better. It just means you've shifted your attention. Why shift your attention when you haven't learned everything that there is to learn from this situation? Whatever the situation is that you're moving on from. Most of the time, people want to move on from pain. They just want to get through it. And they've been indoctrinated into this false idea of what the law of attraction is, otherwise known as the law of correspondence. And they try to affirm their way into a new way of being, which negates and often denies their real lessons that they have yet to learn. So unfortunately, or fortunately, I'm a master at learning lessons. I've had a lot of painful lessons. I am a master at it. I help my clients learn their lessons all the time. And I will tell you from sessions that I just had today that when we have things that have occurred in our childhood that we have accepted and embodied that are not truly in alignment with our truth, our identity of who we truly are, then it will manifest into a physical ailment. What that physical ailment will be will depend on what it is for you, because we all have different aspects. So are you learning or getting your learnings from those things that happened in the past that you just moved on from that you really needed to learn from? Those wounds. And I hate to talk about trauma all the time, because I think trauma is it's dramatized. And it really doesn't need to be dramatic when we're getting our lessons. Our pain does not hurt as badly when we get our lessons. Pain is a signal that we need attention. There's something here important that needs to be addressed that we've ignored or missed. Anyways, so that's what came up for me from yesterday's session in our chat about somebody writing, I just need to move on and get with it. I won't deal with it. And it wasn't written like that, but that was the undercurrent. So I wanted to address that today. Any questions about moving on and problems? I swear, every time I come on, I think my glasses are clean, and then I realize they're not clean. So I'm just going to look. Thanks for being here, Peter. And Jerry, change is good. I know who you are. This is a great identification of who you are. Now we just need to know, what are you, Jerry? Who are you and what are you? So that's a good thing to know. Who am I? What am I? And how do I serve? You want to be able to answer those questions. You want to know who you are. You want to know what you are, and you want to know how you serve. Nothing is saying we're not all in this together. Some people just want to watch the world burn. I don't, well, there is a lot of power in presence, nothing. So maybe you're missing that observation is power. Hey, Sailor's Life, good to see you here. Hello, hello. Good to see you. Hi, England. Okay. Deal with the situation, then move on. Jerry is asking, do we deal with the situation and then move on? Well, dealing with it is not the same as learning from it. So you want to learn what you need to learn from a particular situation that has caused you pain, or discord, or something that is provided power of which you have not yet learned. The sun is coming through quite bright today. Okay. Does that help, Jerry? I have no idea why people come on here and say Celine Dion. Hey, Doc. Good to see you. Hey, Jaguar. Good to see you. Questions, please consider. Oh, thanks, Peter. Leaving does not mean you stop processing unless you don't take the time afterwards. This goes to Jerry's question yesterday about becoming more confident. One of Miguel, I just really feel bad that I ruin these names. Is saying leaving doesn't stop the processing. And I would say that one of the aspects that will help somebody become more confident is having a regular daily process of reflection. Questions or a series of questions that you ask yourself every day. I'm trying to see if I could do the reflection differently. Okay. Powerful Sun says, hello, everyone. Hello. Addie is saying, what's going on with me? I'm almost 20 and never had a relationship or anything like that. Am I too emotionless? I don't know you, Addie, so I can't, I'm not working with you personally, so how would I possibly know that answer? Are you too emotionless? Do you think you're too emotionless? The fact that you're even writing that might say that you might have a few walls up that need to be taken down. And it might also just mean that you haven't met the right people, right? 20 and never had a relationship is not old. You're just beginning at 20. So don't give up. Just looking for questions about the topic today. The topic is about the problems with moving on. I have not, who am I to say a person hasn't processed the test before they decided to move on? I am not telling anybody that they haven't processed. I'm just giving 5 aspects that are problematic with people just moving on. If you came to me for a session, I would be able to say specifically if you've processed through something or not. I'm just talking in general here. So if you think that I'm telling somebody they haven't processed it, what I'm suggesting is that when we process things, it integrates physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And most people just process things by thinking, and they think that because they thought about something that it's processed. That does not mean it's processed. Just because you've given something some consideration does not mean that it's processed. So who am I? My name's Kiana, and I guide people to peace through alignment, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I happen to tap into people's energy when we're in session to be able to discern where things might be hung up. and keeping people from moving forward in a way that's congruent and aligned with their heart and their purpose in life. Tao is saying our whole life is a childhood. You know, it's interesting that you say that, because I've really been playing with this idea, you know, how seriously we take life. And, you know, life can be very serious. You know, I'm definitely more on the serious side. But it really came to mind to me yesterday after talking to a client sharing, and you know, we're just here to play these roles, and these roles play out for us to learn. And how we learn or don't learn depends on how we progress, and our attitude and our lightness, and more importantly, how we can shine our light in our life, right? Doc Holliday, how can I make my daughter overcome selective mutism? Did you come here before, Doc? Because I gave a suggestion to another gentleman who came on. It's a new trend, y'all. This new thing called selective mutism is very new and becoming very trendy with younger people. And I gave a suggestion to another gentleman. Are you the same person? Because I did give them a suggestion. Now, they didn't come back on, but there is you know, we say a lot in the silence. And so, Doc, I would suggest sitting in the silence with your daughter during a meditation, or and really connecting from your heart to her heart, and see, sense, and feel things differently. And as I offered to the other gentleman, you can always book a session, and I think that would help understand it more. Hi, Kevin. Good to see you. Hola. Now, there's two Docs on here. We have Doc Holliday. Is that right? Doc? Am I seeing? We had a Doc Holliday and a Doc. Doc Holliday, yeah. Okay. And Doc. Today, Mr. Monkey, we're talking about moving on, and the problems that can come from moving on when we have not, you know, really learned everything that we needed to learn from a situation. Hi, what do you do for a living? Ryan is asking, I help people align physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. So, for example, if somebody came to me that has anxiety, we would address anxiety within the first 10, 15 minutes, so they would know how to address their nervous system on their own, and they become more empowered and aligned. I also help clear patterns of ways of being that are not supportive to my client's purpose. That's what I do. I do not ascribe to any formal religion. I follow the natural laws of God, the laws of one. Can I, narcissist wife? I don't, what is this question? Can I, narcissist wife with move, no contact? I don't know what you're saying, Anika. Can you move on with no contact? Absolutely, but you still need to learn your lessons, whether your wife is a narcissist or just a painful experience. It doesn't matter. Pain is pain. You don't need to call your wife a name. And calling your wife a narcissist doesn't help you unhook from that behavior or that story, and that story is going to cause pain. So there is something called narcissistic wounding, and you're best to not hook into it. So calling somebody a name like a narcissist wife isn't going to help you unhook from it. So you need to look at all the lessons that attracted you to somebody who would be that way. And then that's a painful situation. So I have a lot of compassion for you. Mr. Yum Yum says, I saw a question. So it's the first thing in the chat that said this is a pre-recorded, and it's not. No. I do this live every single day for the Being in Sync 366 video series, where I come on and talk about a different topic every day that helps people understand alignment differently, understand the natural laws differently, and understand being congruent requires alignment, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, and understanding that we are multidimensional beings. And the quicker people understand that we are multidimensional, we are energy, and that the more you will be able, quicker you will be able to align. Broadcasting, I don't think I understand your question here. So if you can rephrase that. You're asking about meditation for kids? Sure. As long as it's not a standard medication, a standard recorded meditation, I think it's good. I am not a fan of these standard ways of these apps for meditation and alignment. You must be learning to train your body yourself, because you are the commander of your vessel. And although these tools are very popular, they're not very supportive for you being the programmer of your field. It really is, again, going outside yourself for the answers, and the answers are within you. Doc is saying, how can you move on if you still have unanswered questions? Well, people deny that. That's number one, the denial of the truth, Doc. So they're not really moving on. What they're doing is they're shifting their attention, and the lessons are going to come back harder through a repeating pattern or through an interference in a relationship. They really don't move on except in their mind. But we all know that our body keeps a record. That's what cellular memory is. So we must learn our lessons and integrate it through all aspects so we can heal. Graham is saying, my wife is a good-looking woman, good personality, but she drinks. I'm struggling retaining my love for her. Love is not contained through physical. So love is a function of the heart. So Graham, it sounds like you're in conflict and you're having what's called inner conflict. So you want to resolve the inner conflict through your heart, not through your ego mind. Not through your mind. You want to resolve. If the drinking is an issue for you, have a conversation with your wife. You need to be able to have honest conversations with your wife that are not about your wife being disformed as much as you feel like you're not able to connect. That's a legitimate way of saying the same exact thing you said. Differently. I randomly joined your live. Okay. What kind of content do we create here? Bollywood, it's about being in alignment, being in sync, being congruent physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And every video on here is in alignment with the natural laws. Who likes someone who talks about themselves all the time? I don't know. I don't know where these questions are coming from. What's something that brings you comfort when you're feeling down? Ryan, that's a good question to answer for yourself. Okay, y'all, I'm just going to scan for questions here. Jerry, okay. I learned lots from past situations, like I'm not going to let that happen again. That's a good conscious choice. Or am staying well away from those types of people, not an avoidance, but it's a lesson learned. Well, when you categorize people as those types of people, it's a wall. And it is avoidance, so you said it. The lesson that you would learn is what? What did you learn from those types of people, Jerry? And the reason why you want to know the learning specifically is so that you don't resonate with them anymore. You don't have to have a wall because they won't even come into your path. It's like I had so many narcissists in my life until I learned the lessons about narcissists. And then guess what? They don't even come near me anymore. They can't. They don't like me. Why? Because I see them and they don't like to be seen. You know, so once you learn and integrate your lessons, Jerry, from those types of people, and I think you have more than one type. Like you have a couple of, maybe 4 or 5 types of people that you're like, oh, I don't like that type. Identify what those types are and go and learn all the lessons that you need to learn from those types. And there's like 4 or 5 of those types. And what are the lessons? Because those lessons are going to be what attracts you. That's resonance. That's a frequency. That is stronger than what you think. The frequency and the signal that you send out will not change until the lessons are integrated. That's why moving on is not ideal when you haven't addressed the real issues or the real learning. Okay. I'm struggling with alcohol addiction. Just started seeking help. But it's hard. It's affecting my work. Yes, it can be hard. But where are you putting your attention? What are your values? What are your top 5 values? What are the cornerstones of your life that are going to start to create a life that is high functioning because you are dealing and accepting with life as you want it to be? See, alcohol is a way of avoiding. So you want to get really clear on your focus. What is a good way for meditation? Conscious breathing. Hands down the best type of meditation in my estimation. And there are so many different kinds of ways to do conscious breath work. You can find tons online about it. You can get a little printout and print it out, find the rhythm and see which one, experiment. Give it like 3, 4, 5 times experimenting with each one until you find the one that you really like, and then go for it. Flame Guy says, if you want a narcissist to stop talking to you, keep asking them for money. Oh my gosh, that is so funny, Flame Guy. Flame Guy has a point here. You are so astute, Flame Guy. You are 100% right. They owe money, 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 money. So I love it. It's a very simple, very pragmatic way. He is spot on there, or she, Flame Guy. Love it. And it's not a thing, right? Because you don't have attachment to getting the money. You're just doing it because you know they're not going to answer. Welcome to the show. My doctor has signed me on sick leave for 2 weeks for anxiety. So I don't understand what the doctor is doing. Are you medicated? You must be medicated. What are you supposed to do with 2 weeks off of work for anxiety? Did it give you a process? I don't know what to say to you. Welcome to the show. I mean, I have a no more anxiety program that I'm offering until the end of the year, and then it's going away. Everything's changing in the new year for me, and my programs are one of them. Jerry is saying, you are very astute. P.S. I panic when you read one of my posts and pause. I think, oh my God, what's coming? Okay, Jerry, when I first started working with the military, so I worked with the Navy, I worked with them for almost like 15 years, maybe more. Anyways, when I first started, I was just out of grad school, and I was more direct than I am now, believe it or not. And I remember distinctly this, I was with a retired commander who had came back as a civilian, and I remember we were having a consult about the team, and he was like this. And then he had his legs crossed. And I was on the other side of the table. So he's like this, his legs crossed. And he slowly pushed his chair. He was on a rolling chair like this, legs crossed, pushing back away from the table. And I thought, if I do not change the way I share and give consults, I'm never going to be in this business ever again. So I had to change the way I delivered my messages, Jerry. And I want to say thank you for sharing your very on point feedback here. It is not new for me to give that kind of feedback, although I think I have grown and changed. I've also accepted that often my gift is being direct. And I do see it as a gift because I find it I don't like to waste my time. I don't like to waste people's time. And there are some consultants that will meander around things for weeks, and it drives me nuts. So I don't like that for me. So I really am serving myself, and in the sense that I give my clients what I would want and what I resonate with, which is clarity and direct information, so they don't have to meander. So I do find it very unfortunate that people brace themselves to work with me. I wish that weren't the case, but the good news is there are brave people who have courage in their heart, Jerry, and you have that, to come back for more, because they know that when somebody is honest and working from integrity, it feeds them in ways that doesn't always serve their ego, but serves their heart and their soul. And that's what I strive to do. So I appreciate you recognizing that and being here and coming back. And, you know, most of my clients are repeat clients. You know, all of my work is via referral. So, you know, I understand that I'm not for everybody. Not everybody is going to resonate with what I have to say or how I say it or how I see, sense, and feel things. I get that. So it's an acquired wine. I am. Like a fine wine. Show dog, can I have help with my crush? So what should I do? She's from my class. The class started about 3 months ago. I already did some assignments with her, like pages that we have from homework. I'm a guy. She's looking at me all the time, and I see her looking, and she's looking at... I don't know what the question here is. If you like a girl, tell her you like her. And then see if she likes you too and if she's interested. And then you'll know. You won't have to guess. You'll just know. You know, people really appreciate honesty. I don't do tarot reading. No. Money or relation, top priority. I don't even know what that question is. Like, what is that? Money is just currency. So currency is energy. So you don't have energy without currency. There's always a current. So I don't know what your question is. All right, y'all, I got to pause. Ron needs to go to the bathroom. Hold on. Sorry about that. Ron had to go to the bathroom. Okay, let's see. Thank you. MSI. Okay, Stone. The lives of the defenseless babies are important, right? We need to pray for all, right? We can't change everything. Jerry, defense posture mirrored. Well, this is going back 20 years ago. So you're telling me that experience is happening on a YouTube that I can't even see the person. And you're not even my client. You're not a client. I promise you, if you were a client, the experience would be quite significantly different. Because when you're running energy of neutrality, you feel at ease because it's really different. And I'm not running any energy here, y'all. I'm just talking from the heart and speaking the truth as I know it to be. Okay, I'm just looking for questions here. Yeah, we have a lot of bots on YouTube. It's, whatever. Peter and Oliver do what they can to help. Sometimes Matt jumps on here, Sailor's Life. Are you saying goodbye? If so, thank you for being here and thank you for your son. What's my favorite food and drink? I drink a lot of water, I will be honest. I try to drink at least a half a gallon of water every day because light energy flows through the body and water. And we are mostly water, and yet most people are dehydrated. So I drink a lot of water, and I also drink some electrolyte drinks. But my favorite drink, I do like a nice tea. I'll say tea. I like teas, and I like a variety of teas. Now, my favorite food is Mexican food. I love Mexican food. I love it. I love it. I love it. Jerry, that's great what you said about being direct and helpful. Please never change. Thank you. I paid a counselor a shed load of money. I like how you said that. And she was fluffy and nice and not helpful at all. Jerry, I think the vast majority of counselors bank on repeated clients. So part of their style is to get you back in for the next session. And you notice, and I noticed this early on in my career with doing group work, is that oftentimes there is a timing and a cycle of energy when people are learning and growing to become more congruent. And timing wise, it sometimes takes for a normal counselor, maybe 40 minutes for the walls to break down enough to get the nugget that you need to pull out. And then you get to the crux of something really big and they say, oh, time's up. Come back again next week. And there is a cycle there. And that pattern, I don't think it's organic, to be quite honest with you. I think it's a construct of not the learning of the counselor and some of the indoctrination that happens. Jerry, if you ever came for a session, I promise it wouldn't be the same experience that you're having on YouTube. This is just a real artificial, but kind of a sense of, and I'm sure there's people on here that have had sessions with me, they could attest to it, that the sessions are quite different than what you see here on YouTube. Although it's still me, I'm still authentically myself. Mike is saying Mexican food is addictive. It can be, until you change. And I will say I cannot consume the amount of Mexican food this year as I did last year. And that's because my system has changed. When the food just doesn't resonate with me. So I had to stop. Unfortunately, it was a sad day. I had a whole relationship with salsa. I am a salsa aficionado, okay? I can go to a restaurant where I know the salsa is like supposed to be a particular way, and I would tell the restaurant, like, somebody in the kitchen made a mistake. I have that fine of a taste bud for salsa. Anyways, probably more than you all wanted to hear about my salsa affection. I am not a therapist. No, we just talked about that. I do energy healing, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. I look at the patterns of my clients in their field, and then we adjust in alignment with their conscious awareness and in alignment with their purpose of why they're here. Yeah, that's what we do in session every day, all day. That's what I do. And each client is different. Each session is different. No two sessions are ever the same. Because why? We change and we grow. I just turned 17 and lost both my parents. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm close to ending it and want to talk to someone, but have no one in my... But I want to talk to someone, but I have nobody. It's my first time doing life, and I don't know how to do anything. I'm just scared. Well, I am so sorry that you are contending with such immense, profound, deep sadness. And but I also know this, that you have a purpose. And your purpose is here to fulfill your life and to live fully and completely. And when we have deep loss, deep pain, that means we also have deep healing and learning to leverage to become the best version. So how can you honor your parents by living more fully, more alive? And where do you live, sis? Hexman, looks could be deceiving. Hexman, that should just tell you, you can't judge anybody. You cannot judge people because you might be wrong. So what you think people are may not be what they are. Mike is saying you couldn't be my counselor because I would be thinking dirty stuff. I am a telepath here. So I know when my clients are thinking things, and it's okay. It's your thoughts are not always real, and believe it or not, they're not always yours. Anthony is saying, show some respect. I think he's actually speaking truth. And we're all humans, but most people don't realize that their thoughts have been hijacked. And we see it here in the chat. No, I'm not a no, I'm not a doctor or a therapist or a social media person. I talk about alignment to being in sync. Why? Because that's what I do for a living. Siskel is saying, I know that may seem helpless, but don't give up. Your parents are with you in everything they taught you and all the love they shared. Beautiful. I live in India. I just learned this morning it was a wreck, and I just got on my phone to get out of my head. Well, Sizzle, go into your heart. You're in shock. So just go into your heart and breathe. You're going to be okay. There are people here that are going to support you and show up in miracles. It's called synchronicity. So just go into your heart, connect with God, and trust that life serves us in ways that we can't always know or be prepared for, but you will make it through, and you will get through this because you are resilient. Jerry says, you are good at body language with your clients, Kiana. Oh, everything shows up in the non-physical before it comes physical, Jerry. And, our body language, people who learn body language from traditional methods of, this means that when the crusts are on. But, you have to be aware, right? We have to have awareness. And I learned how to read energy from reading groups first. That's how I started, because the energy collective in a group, in a team, is quite palatable for me to see, sense, and feel. But when in one-on-one sessions, it's hard to hide. Even on the phone, I can feel the tension. I can feel when my clients' nervous systems kick on or off. I can sense all that. Athena Hall is saying, have you read the book, The Path to Love by Deepak? I have not. I did read a lot of Deepak books early on in my career, but not so much anymore. What did you like about the book, Athena? What about that book? Is saying, we're here for you, Sizzle. Yes, we are. This is a great channel for support. Once you get past the bots, you're going to see some really good people in the chats here that are very supportive. Okay, Shire is saying, I'm here from India and not feeling well. I just wanted to talk with some. Can I open my thoughts here? It's all about opening your heart. It's not really about what you think. It's really about opening your heart. But this is a pretty safe place as far as the internet goes. The internet is the internet, So, anyways, MS is saying it must be difficult for those people in your personal life with who you read energy. Well, I am working on not sharing my perspective with everybody. I try to limit it to my clients. Every once in a while I slip and I say something, I'm like, I did it again. I shared too much. I said too much. I didn't want it. It's coming from a good place, but I try to keep my, I really do my best, and I'm a work in progress to not share what I'm reading in people's energy. In fact, I was just talking about that with somebody today, because not everybody wants to hear what I have to say. And that's evident here in the chat. Not everybody appreciates what Kiana Sage has to say. So I really do try to keep on topic with moving on. And I also try to not share too much with people without them asking, or better yet, without being a client. Because, me just saying something doesn't mean people are going to be able to process it anyways. It's much easier to help them process it in a session. And, to be honest, my friends aren't booking a lot of sessions. They have booked, but it's an interesting dynamic, because not everybody wants to be seen. Even though they want to be heard, they want to be known, they don't want to be seen as incongruent. I love The Path to Love by Deepak is beautiful reading. It's about healing and the difference of if you're really in love or if it's attachment. Ooh, beautiful, Athena. Right, I think a lot of people think they're in love when it's not love. But love is a frequency, and it's really an expression from the heart. It's not so much about saying the words, it's about being the expression of love. Jerry is saying you have a good heart. That's a fantastic baseline. Yes, it is. But being in integrity with your heart is another level. And as I was talking to a friend this morning, being in integrity, you know, those people, there's a lot of people out there that say a lot of things, but not all of them are in integrity. So finding people who are integrity, you know, that can be challenging at times. But we're out here. We exist. Shire is saying it's been 2 years and I haven't seen her. It was not my girlfriend. We were just best friends. She left me for one boy, and I know it sounds childish. Well, Shire, maybe, and I learned this from one of my friends, maybe you just outgrew each other, because relationships need to grow, and growth comes from experience, from sharing, from caring, and sometimes we outgrow others and they don't want to be with us anymore. I know I've had friends that maybe outgrew me and I outgrew them, and we just don't have as much in common anymore. But heartbreak changes when we learn our lessons. I'm not a fan of a lot of rap, no. Is saying, that's why I'm still here. It's an open heart channel. I love hearing others' perspective, even though my ego reacts. Hey, the ego work that's mastery level. That is mastery level stuff. Most people don't even know that their ego is reacting. So kudos to you. And, you know, the fact that you can identify it says a lot about who you are and the character of your presence. Because, you know, our ego sometimes does react. And so we just see it and we say, oh, there it goes. I don't want to do that. I'm doing this. This is what I'm in alignment with. That's what I'm working on too. Every day, all day. It never ends, right? As long as we are on this planet, I think that will be something that we have to contend with. It gets less and less the more you do your ego work, at least in my experience. And I would say I've been doing my ego work for all of my awakening spiritual journey, okay? The awakening spiritual journey is about understanding how the ego has been manipulated on this planet is beyond. Somebody is saying love is overrated. You choose people who make sense for your growth and try to make it work. Well, I would say that love is not overrated, but the fact that you think it is tells me that you have some anti-life, anti-Christ, anti-love energy present in your field. And I would eradicate that, because love is a frequency of life and life force. And your soul is here to grow and evolve. How you grow and evolve is through your conscious choice. And a lack of conscious choice is going to repeat a lot of patterns. Is saying, I'm working on reacting in a more understanding way with unconditional love. Beautiful. Thank you for being here, Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because we all can make that choice to be more unconditional in our love, to be kind and compassionate. Thank you for being here. Jerry says, no, Kiana Sage, you seem to have a good heart in as much as I know you. Well, yeah. How much could you know through YouTube? I mean, you have 366 days of videos to check on Jerry. Plus, I probably had over 300 videos before I started this series. So there's a lot of content to see if I'm consistent. And I'm still growing. Like, there was a time during this series that I got off the channel and I got guidance that I wasn't digging deep enough. And so I've been challenging myself to really be more to dig deeper on some of these topics and say things that are not always received well, but I'm saying them anyways. Oh, okay. Athena all liked that book. Beautiful. So Athena has a book recommendation. I haven't read it, so I don't know. But I did find that Deepak Chopra got very much into the marketing, and I found his stuff to be inauthentic. Maybe it was an inauthentic overlay that I felt, but I don't resonate with his work anymore. But this is the thing. Books have a vibration. The authors have a frequency. That's the reason why I didn't go through a publisher to publish a book, is because I didn't like how they were directing it. And it felt very manipulative. And I didn't like that. And I didn't want that for my book. And the stress that I was feeling from writing a way that I thought could be marketed, I didn't want that. I didn't want to put out a book like that. So until I find a way to put out a book, I'm not. My heart isn't broken anymore. It's just a process. Beautiful. Norman, hello, Scotland. Thank you. Beautiful. I'm releasing the need for my ego to be validated. I don't think it's validation so much as affirmation. And you don't need it, but it's nice. We can have nice to haves too. You know, we can prefer nice. Being awakened is understanding we are one with God and we are all connected. Yes, that's what this channel is all about. The law of one, Athena. Yes. Please suggest me a transformational plan regarding my studies. I think the people that are coming on here about their studying really should, they're coming in here into this chat stressed about studies. That should tell you about the path that you're on. You're meeting resistance. The resistance needs to be addressed. So address your resistance. Maybe there's a nuance for the study. Maybe you're on the wrong track, the right track. I don't know what it is. But the fact that you are looking to transform how you are studying tells me that you might be indicating that you're on the wrong track. So save yourself some time and listen to your inner wisdom. Is saying, it's my pleasure to be here. I feel the energy of love in my body at a spiritual level. I love it. Jerry is saying, I had a massive ego taught by my past job, but life is a great level. Hey, we get when our ego is overinflated, we will get humbled. How that humbling happens depends on how you are aligned and if you're attuned to the changes. But let's just be honest, you know, our culture has the 3D culture, as it's referred to energetically, has been conditioned to the material. And the material feeds the ego, and it's to create separation from the heart. That's the real, really what's happening, Jerry. So it's not that you had a massive ego. It's that we've all been conditioned into the ego mind, and we have to train ourselves, as Ah was saying on here, to practice to be in alignment, to catch our ego and really start to practice a different way of being that's more in alignment with the heart, in alignment with healing, in alignment with your purpose, and in alignment with the natural laws, really. Because the ego mind is going to really do some things that go against the natural laws. And there is always a reckoning when we do things that are out of alignment to the natural laws. That's not a threat, that's just the truth. So we must come correct. And I remember early on, a girlfriend of mine, we were at a store and she stole a piece of candy. And I was like, I'm not stealing any candy. But I saw her, I witnessed it, and I really felt like, God, that isn't right. I had judgment about that, my friend stealing that candy. And, you know, she would do things like that all the time. She was kind of mischievous in that way. And maybe that was just her way of learning. But I always had my conscience, right? I always had this connection that would, I don't want to say I judged myself, but certainly as a perfectionist recovering, of course I have judgments. And I would look to say, like, it didn't feel right with me to do that. And even when I would see people stealing time at work, like clocking out but getting paid, is just an ethical thing that I didn't align with. And I remember when I had to do this project, and I had to do time management with managers, and I would see their actual time. And they weren't even working a half day's work. These are government employees. And I would say, you need to talk to your boss about these things, because now I know you're doing something unethical, and I have a duty to report unethical behavior, and I'm not your boss. So go talk to your boss, because I'm not going to tell on you, but I must say that somebody has something unethical going on. So you go rectify it before I have to tell. So I didn't like it. Anyways, I don't know. I kind of got off on a tangent there. Sailor's Life says, my first live I'm ever attending more than once. Your work is great. Thank you very much for everything. Thank you, Sailor's Life. Oh, I'm so glad that this channel, this live has been helpful. I thought I was kind of going off on too many tangents. Athena's saying, that's amazing. I'm happy that you speak and share your truth and knowledge. To the best of my ability, I ask to see the truth in all things. And the truth sometimes is not pretty. Nick says, if right now 500 persons come on your live right now, what a gift it will get. Well, you know, Nick, you know, this is not a, what do you call it? A monetized YouTube channel, but I'm consistent and I'm dedicated, and I appreciate you all enjoying what this content is. Injury on duty and lost the ego job. Yeah, that'll do it. Injury, look, the non-physical always comes into the physical. Just going to see if there's any questions here. I thought I was done. I'm recovering. He said he had a feeling I was a perfectionist. Recovering. I'm recovering. Constant. It's an everyday practice. I'm doing the work right here with you guys. You know, I'm not immune from doing the work. If you are going to have any integrity, you're doing your own work. That is one of the things I struggled with the coaching world, is I would see coaches that were not doing their own work. So they were preaching something they weren't practicing. I really struggled with that. I'm a telepath, empath, and I'm working on how to respond to others' thoughts. Yes, me too. You must be, we're very in sync in that way. I'm trying to allow them to reveal it first by not taking their thoughts as my own. Good for you. I don't say anything unless I'm guided to. And then if that's not true. Most of the time I ask if I'm guided to say something, and then I'll say it. So I just ask for guidance when I need to speak it, when it's outside of a session. In a session, it gets spoken because it's relevant to healing. I didn't ignore your question. I maybe didn't see it. If you can repost it, and I will let your question be the last question. And then we'll be done for today on this topic of moving on and the 5 aspects. I went through 5 aspects in the first 20 minutes here, talking about how moving on can be problematic. Thank you, Jerry. You have a good night. Challenging session, but really good. Thanks, ma'am. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Okay, I'm just waiting for one more question from this person that I can't see because I did not ignore. Okay, here it is. Why does it hurt me a lot knowing someone else will have the same right that I was having? Well, that's ego, okay? We all have rights. We have human rights, okay? This really sounds more jealous than anything. Why it hurts me a lot knowing someone else will have the same right I have. It's almost like you're claiming that experience as owned by you when it was a shared experience. And when you have a shared experience, that can't be replicated. So nobody is going to have what you had, okay? So your experience is always going to be unique and special to your conscious relationship with that experience, okay? So there's never a repeating of experiences. It just repeating of patterns. And so your experience is yours alone. And so you don't have to worry about somebody having the same thing because that's not even possible. Because you have two different souls, different purposes, different reasons for that relationship or experience or situation. I hope that's helpful. Thank you so much, for being here. Hey, TJ from Sweden, good to see you. We're just about to jump off here. I've been on for a little bit over an hour. My name's Kiana, and I come on here every day for the Being and Seeing 366 video series. And I come on at different times, so put your notifications on if you're new. And I'm looking at changing the times. So far, the times look like they're going to change from the afternoon to late afternoon, Pacific Standard Time. So go take the poll on the community page, please. My name's Kiana Sage. I guide people to peace. Yes, I do one-on-one sessions. No, I'm not a therapist. If you're interested, go check out more information on my website. You all have a great day. I'm Kiana Sage, and I'll see you tomorrow for another topic, another video. Cheers. Bye-bye.